Happy Tuesday. Welcome to the Rick Helps Real Estate live stream where we look at the numbers every morning at 8:30. Try to figure out what's going on, and they are changing. Now, yesterday we went over, and the Phoenix Suns lost last night, so there's no Game 7 in Phoenix. Quite disappointing. It was a nail biter. A lot of fouls, a lot of beating people up. That was a train wreck. I want to emphasize yesterday as I was sharing information from the Cromford Market Index that index is a leading indicator. So when you see an arrow that's coming down, a graph that's coming down, it doesn't mean that the market is all of a sudden cooled off and you're going to see prices coming down, but it's showing you that is about to happen anywhere from 3 to 6 months from now. And we'll go over a couple of them. I had a request to talk about Casa Grande, Apache Junction today. So we're going to take a deep dive into that. But where are we today? Well, today our listings are 6,259 with a 7-day moving average of 4,113 listings coming on and 3,751 going under contract. That's a difference of 362, and it looks like this over here with the blue line representing the number of new listings that have come up, and the yellow line are the number of homes that went under contract. And the reason I put this red line here is I wanted to see how this week compares to past contracts, and you could see they were a lot higher up here. And again, these are holidays, so it's there's definitely some stuff going on out there. Yes, good morning, Mary. Good to have you aboard. So as we look at what's going on, some of the numbers, I always like to caution people that sometimes you see headlines and you've got to really kind of dig in a little bit. This one headline here says that mortgage MBA sees new home sales at a 13-month low. And what I see is our sales month was 23% lower than June 2020. We can't compare to last year. Last year was a train wreck. But June, that's May and June is when sales really took off last year. So we're looking at that and going, man, we're down 23%. Well, yeah, compared to last year, but we need to start looking at month to month. So we're only 3% down versus last month. So try not to look at 2021 versus 2020 anymore, because it's going to be just muddy information. The 3% is still pretty significant though. So we're going to talk about that a little bit. Thank you everybody for the good morning. So there's a shortage of starter homes and extends beyond the major cities, even though this looks like Phoenix here in this article. But basically they're showing the entry-level housing supply, which is a 1,400 square foot home. Here's a graph that shows where it is in the 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000, 2010. They were not building enough homes. We just don't have enough starter homes at 1,400 square feet built anymore. They started building homes that were 2,500 square feet and higher, and just stopped building those smaller homes. The only way you can get some of those smaller homes is to get an older home built in the 50s or the 60s. And here's an article that said some sellers are getting a little, what's the title of this one? Getting a little frantic. And actually we got Tina Tambour from the Cromford Report was interviewed on Channel 10 here in Phoenix, and she said some housing prices in Phoenix are going to shift in the Valley housing market, recently known for its high prices, as the population quickly increases. A housing market analyst said a combination of buyer fatigue and more home sellers have led to a higher inventory of homes, and that brings higher hopes for buyers. Now there's a ray of hope for home buyers, said senior housing analyst of the Cromford Report, Tina Tambour. She sees the housing market starting to cool in the Phoenix area. And you've heard her say this before. It's the difference between 500 degrees and 300 degrees. Many won't notice. That's what we do, she said. Tambour said a subtle shifts like more home sellers dropping their listing price. We talked about that yesterday, didn't we? Specifically in homes over 400,000 is what she is starting to notice. So we're starting to see that the prices above 400,000, people said, all right, let's go. Let's list this bad boy for $599. They're having to pull back. And so we'll see more of that. And we're going to see more of that before everybody in the general public starts to notice what's really going on in the real estate market. But there is a cooling. And we can see that there's also an article here, and it's going to be kind of hard to read, but I'm just going to highlight a couple of points here. But it's saying for buyers with budgets over $300,000 may be noticing that they have more listings to choose from compared to just a few months ago. This is especially true in the price points between $400,000 and $800,000, where inventory has grown, get this, 92% since February. That's a big stinking number right there. So the listings have grown to 92% from February a year ago. But you know what? It's still not a lot of listings. We can look at our active listings that we have right here today. And if we look at active listings, let me go to that tab. We're still way down here, 6,000, but we're coming up. So when they're comparing to February, they're comparing to down here. We're getting our rear end kicked, I think is what I'm trying to say. That's by price range. I don't want to see that. So here's the year-over-year percentage change in supply. We're still down 20.8% versus last year. And last year was low. We were starting off at a low inventory number. So we're climbing up, but we have a long way to go. They also said for sellers, the greater Phoenix housing market continues to shift from an extreme seller's market into a less extreme seller's market. As prices continue to rise, more sellers are motivated to put their home on the market, and fewer buyers are willing or able to pay the higher price. Over the next 5 months, give or take, the market is expected to move into a weaker seller market, driven in part by dwindling affordability and buyer fatigue. In the first half of 2021, here's an interesting stat right here. Sales price appreciation will not average 3.1% per month like it has been. April saw price appreciation 5.1% within 4 weeks. May was 2.3%. June was 1.1%. So the rapid acceleration of prices is starting to cool. So we're not seeing a dip yet, but for those of you that listed in May, you did very well. You sold your house in a day or two. There are still homes that are getting multiple offers with people bidding up. That has not stopped yet. I really want to emphasize that. We're not going to start seeing any relief in that until probably November, based on what we're seeing in the numbers right now. So we've got to watch it and see if anything changes. But when you see these indicators like that right now, you're not going to feel it in the market when you've got your house up for sale. You're still going to be very pleased with what you're going to get. But you are going to see, and I think we're going to see it real soon, sooner rather than later, is we are going to see the appraisal waivers go away. There's no reason to write one because nobody else is going to do it. So that's going to be the first thing to drop off, and that's going to happen, I think, sooner than we expect. Let's jump over here, and I want to take a minute and come over here and look at the Cromford Market Index and show you what's going on in a couple different cities. Here's Apache Junction. You are kind of bucking the trend here. Everybody else was going down. You were going down in the Cromford Market Index. Remember, 100 is considered a balanced market. You're going up. That's unusual. Apache Junction is going up. Now, for those of you who don't know where Apache Junction is, I would describe it as north of Mesa and east. Just drive out to 60 and you'll bump into Apache Junction. Another popular area out there, I really like this area, the views are phenomenal, is Gold Canyon. And look what's happening in Gold Canyon. Their sales are not going down. They're sitting there rocking and rolling it at a Cromford Index number of 418. Now, based on everything else you saw, that's quite a bit different than like we look at what's going on in Gilbert. And so remember, all real estate is local. Look what's going on in Gilbert. It's going down, down, down. You get out to Gold Canyon and it's climbing up. No explanation as to why, though. It may just be that, Gold Canyon does have a lot of seasoned travelers. So maybe there just isn't as many homes that are put on the market as the city like Gilbert. Maybe those homes will come on when the snowbirds start coming out in November, and then that chart could change. So that's going to be an interesting one to watch again. If we look here and go to places like Paradise Valley, which is the high end of the market, they're coming down, but very slowly. They're still at 325. So the higher priced homes are continuing to do extremely well. And then Peoria, up in the northwest part of the valley, you're cranking down a pretty good clip. You're at 350, which is still very good. But this is a leading indicator here that if it continues, shows you're going to be balanced by probably October. Let's look at Queen Creek. I know I got a lot of questions about that. Same clip. If you keep going out here, again, you're looking between October and November, going to be balanced. Sun City, Sun Lakes. This one is always interesting. The over 55 community, they're going up, which means there's not very many listings. Let's look at another over 55 community, Sun City. Guess what? Just now starting to turn. Sun City West. My cousin just bought a house in Sun City West coming down from Washington State. They're starting to turn a little bit. So the over 55s are not dipping like everybody else is. Tempe, you're hanging in there. You're hanging in there at 261. Based on this, again, just being a chart guy, you're probably going to see normal by November. So that's the data that we're looking at right now. A lot of factors to consider is employment. You know, that we're doing quite well with that. There just aren't enough people to fill the jobs that we have open right now, and that's kind of puzzling to me. The warehouses that we're seeing being built out in the West End are continuing to sprout up like weeds. And that's a good indicator that there's some future jobs going on out here. But the problem is nobody can get the materials to finish those. And I was talking to a friend last night, and she's trying to find a used car for her daughter. And she said she's just not running into anything. So there's, you name it, and we can't find it. It's short. But the housing market is about to see a change. Stay on top of it. It's already subtle right now. Great time to list. I want to overemphasize that. If you're thinking about listing, I think you pull the trigger now, because it's only going to get slower and slower as time goes on. It's not going to be panic time. Even what Tina Tambour said is they're starting to see price decreases in the listing price, but that's not the total decrease in the appreciation of real estate in general. So people are pricing it at 10% above the market instead of 2%. So they're getting themselves in trouble. So if you're thinking of listing, I'd start thinking about pulling the trigger here real quick and getting that done while we still have some multiple offers out there. In the meantime, take on the day. Have a fabulous Wednesday. See you tomorrow morning.